I belong to the Baduga community from the Nilgiris. And my journey started at a very young age. I was exposed to nature at the age of 2.5. This was me with my dad at Juhu Beach, Mumbai. And it all started during COVID in 2020. I was flipping through an old album. Those days, there is no digital cameras. Flipping through an old album, all my school photos. And this photo changed my life for good and worse. So this photo was captured in the year 2002, somewhere in the Himalayas, using a non-digital camera. And I was staring at this photo, and the other photo, this one was taken in the Nilgiris. I was just staring at these two photos for about 20 minutes, wondering why there are so different. The mountains are different. The Himalayas are different, and the mountains in the Nilgiris are different. So I had these questions in mind. Why the Himalayas are so different from the Nilgiris and Western Ghats? Why are Himalayas so tall? And why the rocks and peaks are different there? So my journey started here. And again, I want to know, I just Googled it. Okay, how old is the Himalayas? Why Himalayas are so different? Then I got an answer. Himalayas are the youngest mountain range and dating, say, around 50 million years. Then I had another question. How old is the Nilgiris? Okay, and I did not have any definitive answer from Google. So I thought I'll search myself. And how do I search? How do I find the age of a place? So the PaleoNilgiris project was born. So paleo means ancient. Then I started researching on the ancient Nilgiris. So I started trekking the entirety of Nilgiris, understanding its landscape, understanding its flora and fauna, understanding the climatology, understanding the vegetation, understanding the rocks, understanding the rock formation, rock types. And I started exploring all the peaks. I've been to almost all the peaks in Nilgiris. And I came to know that some of the rocks in the Nilgiris are 4 billion to 2.5 billion years old. Mind you, it's billion, not million. So I used to collect samples, do carbon dating, uranium dating, send it abroad, get the result. And another thing, in order to understand the Nilgiris in a deeper way, I have to travel back in time. So travel 13.8 billion years, the Big Bang. So two stars or suns collided, and as a result, the Earth was formed. Earth was formed 4.5 billion years old. And 4 billion years old, the Earth cools down enough for the plants and animals to survive. And 3.7 billion years ago, the first life on Earth without a nucleus. And 1.5 billion years ago, the first life on Earth with a nucleus, eukaryotic. And 500 million years ago, the first multicellular with all the organs. And this changed everything. Initially, there was that one, huge continent called the Pangaea. Pangaea is a Greek word which means all land. So that's about 225 million years to 300 million years ago. Single supercontinent, and 200 million years ago, this Pangaea breaks into two parts, the Laurasia and Gondwana land. And 165 million years ago, the Gondwana land again splits into two parts. We have the South America and Africa, and the India, Madagascar, Australia, and Antarctica. And about 115 million years ago, Madagascar and India broke free. So it was together before. And 88 million years ago, India moved upwards, dropping seashells, tiny islands. And 50 to 55 million years ago, the Himalayas were formed. So India collides with the Asia, so the Himalayas were formed. And this impacts Nilgiri in a very big way. So behind me, I don't know how visible it is, it's the Mayar Gorge. This stretches a gorge. A gorge is a deep uh, valley, narrow valley. So this is the result of those changes. Okay, those geological changes. Not just that, we also have the, why Nilgiri is different. Because at the one side, at the northern side, we have the Mayar Gorge, and towards south, we have the Palakkad Gap. Mayar Gorge is one of the oldest gorge, like 2.5 billion years old, and the longest, 120 kilometers, and the deepest, 260 meters deep. And we have the Palakkad Gap, say about 30 kilometers wide, and the Mayar Gorge stretches up to Salem Athur. And why it's important, why this land formation is important, and what difference this makes to Nilgiris. Because these landscapes makes Nilgiri as a sky island. So whatever animals were in Nilgiris, they were there for a long time. They couldn't go out, and other animals couldn't come in to the Nilgiris, so making it endemic. Example, we have the purple frog. It's called as the Indian purple frog. It was discovered recently, say about 18 years ago. And this shared the life with dinosaurs. Okay, 77 million years of evolutionary history. And for 52 weeks, this stays underground. It comes only for 2 weeks during the monsoon season. And we have the Nilgiri tar. Okay, so there are two tars. We have the Himalayan tar and the Nilgiri tar. The Nilgiri tar has, say, about 7 million years of evolutionary history. As the India collided with the Eurasia, the Himalayas have formed. The Himalayas are still growing. So as it was growing, the few of these ancestors, they couldn't survive there. So they started coming down towards the south in search of lush green land, and they found Nilgiris, and they stayed here. And as a result, it becomes shorter and darker. You can see the Himalayan tar are much huger and brighter, and the Nilgiri tar are darker and it's small. Can you guess? This is the slender loris. And it was there in a place called Devala, and Devala is named after this tiny sweet creature, slender loris. In Baduga, it's called as the Devu. It was a popular expression describing the eyes of a woman. Look at the eyes, how big it is. And this is called the Nilgiri pipit, and it has, say, about 7 million years of evolutionary history. And not just that, it's not just the animals and the rocks are old, even the plants. This particular plant is called as the tree fern, and it has 320 million years of evolutionary history. And this is one of the first plant on earth, and it grows about 20 feet. See how tiny I am. And you find it in Nilgiris. And another plant, it's called as the rhododendron, the Nilgiri rhododendron, and it has an evolutionary history of 7 million years again. And this had come from the Himalayas. So we have a connection. The Nilgiri and the Himalayas has a huge connection. And it's called as, in my language, we call it as Tautanu. Okay, and there are so many other plants. This is jamun. I don't know the name of other fruits. Okay, so the nature is beautiful, because we are still exploring. All right, that every day we find new creatures, new animals, new plants. Okay, and Nilgiris is a geological and a global biodiversity hotspot, supporting, say, around 3,500 plant species and over 16 endemic mammals and 150 fish species and about 250 bird species. And so Nilgiri needs love. My suggestion for the youngsters is be curious. Okay, just be curious. Curiosity will take you to places. Okay, and curiosity is all about asking questions, asking weird questions, and courage. You have to be courageous. Courageous is finding the answer for it. So be curious, be courageous, and be mindful. Thank you.